around Mr. Dave Zangaro on the Comcast Business Hotline. How you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for the playoffs. It feels like this season's been going on for a long time, and we're finally here.
Yeah, it absolutely does. We were talking about that, Dave, how long ago it feels from, and you were out there from in Brazil in September to now. It feels like it's like 2 years ago.
It does. I remember being on a bus on the way to the game, talking to you guys from the back of the bus, trying not to disturb people as we're sitting in like 3.5 hours of traffic to the stadium. Yeah, it was a long time ago. And I think that's really been one of the talking points this week is that these two teams did play each other this season, but a lot of changes for both sides of the football in this one.
Absolutely.
Speaking of changes, it seems as though Jalen Hurts has cleared protocol, as we all thought he would. Any thoughts? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that think his timing could be off. Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate concern. It doesn't mean that it's going to be, but if you miss 3 weeks, I think that that's in the back of everyone's mind. But what I've heard from his teammates, from his coaches this week, is that he did look good. He looked crisp. Now, he also hasn't had his full arsenal of receivers this week at practice either. A.J. Brown has that knee injury they're dealing with. He's going to play. Devontae Smith has a little back tightness. He was out of practice today. He's going to play. The good news is he's played with these two guys for a really long time. They've had a lot of reps together over the years, so it's not like he's going to lose timing with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And it is amazing from a health perspective when you look at this team. They're going to have all 22 starters healthy. And if you think back to the 2022 season, I mean, that was one of the big talking points going into those playoffs, into that Super Bowl, was that how rare it was that the Eagles had all 22 starters. And here we are a couple years later, they're entering the playoffs with all 22. It's a big deal, and it's not like it's been like that all year either. You have to remember, this is only the fourth game that we're really going to see A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert for a full game together. So if you're looking for reasons for optimism, that's certainly one of them. I think that when they're at their best, this is a really, really talented group, and they haven't been together all season.
And that is probably a big reason for optimism, Dave. Looking at the defensive side, that's where you have a lot of the young players. You have a lot of veterans for the most part up front on the offensive side. But on the defensive side, you have young players. Any chance, in your opinion, that these young guys might feel a little bit overwhelmed, given from the moment, at least to start the game, or do you think there's enough veteran leadership and good enough coaching that won't be an issue?
Yeah, I think it's a valid question, but the two young guys we're really talking about here are Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Quinyon's been a starter all season. Cooper DeJean since week 6 after the bye. They've played a lot of football against really high-level opponents, good players in this league. Maybe in the back of your mind you're worried about maybe the stage is going to be too big or something like that, but talking to them this week and talking to their teammates, their coaches, they don't even really consider these guys rookies anymore because of how much they've played this season. It's kind of rare in recent Eagles history to get this much out of rookies. In recent years, it's been a lot of sitting these young players and letting them kind of wait behind other guys. But give credit to Vic Fangio here. He played the best players, and it's really mattered. These two guys have brought so much to this defense. I really don't have a lot of fear with this defense, to be honest with you. I think they've proven themselves over the course of the season. Now, that's not to say that the Packers won't give them fits in certain areas, and it's not going to be an easy game. You have Josh Jacobs, a really good running back. He's going to test them. Jordan Love can get hot. He's tough to bring down in the pocket. So, all these things are in the back of your mind. But, man, this defense has proven itself time in and time out all season, and Vic Fangio deserves so much credit for how well they've played. And you have Vic Fangio going into this game. He's such a great game planner, such a great defensive play caller that I think you're really confident in him, too.
Obviously, Saquon over 2,000 yards this year. How does he match up against his Packers run D?
Yeah, the Packers run D statistically is pretty good. It's funny because you look at that, and a lot of times you can get too bogged down in what the numbers tell you, that they're stopping these other teams' running attacks. But they haven't played the Eagles since week 1, and this running game is totally different now than it was back then. This is a dynamic rushing offense with the offensive line, with Saquon Barkley, with Jeff Stoutland designing the run game. So it's not that you throw the numbers out. The numbers matter, and the numbers in this game tell you that you'll be able to pass the football against the Packers, especially without Jair Alexander, their star cornerback who's out for the rest of the season. So I think they will be able to pass on them, but I see no reason why they can't run on them too. I know Edrin Cooper's a really good player, a rookie who's come into his into really good play in his own right this year, but the Eagles can run against anybody. I really do believe that. They've proven that this year, and I think that that's still going to be their game plan, is to give Saquon Barkley the rock. Like he said this week, they won 14 games, and it's not like that came out of nowhere. They did what they've done all season, and I expect that to continue in the playoffs.
We're speaking with Dave Zangaro. He does a tremendous job covering the Eagles for NBC Sports Philadelphia. Dave, we've had some callers and texters suggest that they should be careful with Jalen Hurts in this game. While we were of the opinion that, you know what, you just got to, play football. You don't want to be reckless, but once you're out there, you just have to play. How do you think the Eagles should approach their handling of Jalen Hurts in his first game back?
Yeah, I don't think it changes, honestly. And it's not to say I agree with you guys. You can't be reckless with him, but it's not like they were ever trying to be reckless with him. I think over the course of his career, he's gotten a little bit better at protecting himself in certain situations. And but him in the run game matters. And you see that, right? Like, the offense looks different. The rushing offense looks different when he's not on the field. It's not like you're reckless with him. It's not like you're putting him in harm's way. But if he's cleared, he's got to play, and they've got to play the way they've played all season, or at least since the bye week and that win streak that they had. That was what was working, and you don't want to completely take away his ability to run, because that's meant a lot to this team. So it's not like they're going to just throw him out there like a battering ram and get him injured, but you have to be able to feel comfortable running the offense that you run. And he's cleared. He's back from the concussion. That happened 3 weeks ago. At this point, you have to let him play.
All right, well, you look at NFL football, NFL playoffs, it could come down to one play here or there. And this is why there's been some nervousness this week about the Eagles' special teams. You know what? Talk a little bit about how much a kicking game could play into Sunday's game.
Yeah, look, and I understand that. The margin for error definitely gets a little smaller when you get into the playoffs. We'll start with Jake Elliott as a field goal kicker. I get it. I don't think you can be as confident in Jake right now as you would have been last year or the year before. Then again, he has made every field goal he's ever attempted in the playoffs. So,
but what's your number, Dave, that you would go to with him?
1 to 10?
No, I mean like yardage-wise.
Oh, yardage-wise, I think that's really dependent on the conditions, right? So if it's a super windy day, you're probably not putting him out there for a long kick. I think the one thing I'm curious about is how it impacts Nick Sirianni's play calling. You know, maybe he ends up being a little more aggressive on like a 4th and 4 from plus territory where, hey, you can maybe attempt a 53-yarder, but it's windy, it's cold, maybe you go for it a little bit more. So if it makes Nick Sirianni a little more aggressive, I think that's okay. It has to be a cohesive plan, though. I think you have to be, like the play caller, Kellen Moore, has to know the situation going into it. Like, if we're in this plus territory, you might not feel comfortable with Jake going for it on a really long field goal. And Kellen Moore has to know he has 4 downs to work with here. So I think all that stuff will be talked about this week. I know they've been practicing over at the link where it can be windy there, guys. It's kind of like a wind tunnel at times. And even though Jake Elliott's kicked a lot there in the past, it doesn't mean it's easy. So I think that's where it can change. I don't think there's like a firm number because we need to know the conditions and the side of the field and all that stuff. But I do think there's a chance that it does affect Nick Sirianni's decision-making in some of those crucial moments.
Well, Dave, we really appreciate you spending time with us like you have all season. And we have both picked the teams to win. Have you made your official pick yet, or are you saving that?
No, I can give it to you. I'm picking the Eagles 24-17 in this game. It's been kind of a weird week because of the injury situations, but now that we know Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are all playing, all 22 starters in this game, I think the Packers are a tough first-round draw. I don't think there's any question about that, but I think the Eagles are the better team. I think they're going to win.
Well, Dave, appreciate it, man. And hopefully next week we're talking to you about the next playoff game and not a season wrap. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, that was Dave Zangaro on the Comcast.
And the way you said that made me a little sick.
But this is how it goes, though.
I know, but it just made, you don't think of it like that.
Same thing happened with Jason Stark during the Phillies and Scott Lauber. Like, it's either we're going to be talking about another round of the playoffs or we're going to be wrapping it up. Same thing for next Friday. It's either we're talking about another game or the season's over. That's the thing about the one-and-done situation of the NFL.
Hey, everybody, thanks for watching our YouTube. If you want to help us out, go ahead and like and subscribe for us. If you liked what you saw, go right over here to our playlists and pick out whatever you want to watch.